depth issue, of course. This is on Leon Rose more than it's on Tom Thibodeau. I hate it. I've been trying to like it. I've been trying to be positive about it, but hours later, I still hate it. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. Two things I often say about professional sports teams. One is stability. The other one is ruthlessness when it comes to the GM or, in this case, comes to the president. I guess, I don't know if William Wesley's involved in any of this. I mean, it seems like Leon Rose is the head of the team. He's the guy that's running. He's the guy that's making all the decisions. Yet he doesn't sit in front of the media and tell us what's going on. And I really do think that the Knicks really made two major mistakes here. One is I'm sick and tired of the PR, whatever you want to call it, PR statements. I want to hear from somebody. I want to hear from a human being. I want to hear from somebody who's making this decision. So if it is Jim Dolan, then put Jim Dolan out there. As hard as it is to listen to him, put him out there. If it's not Jim Dolan and it's Leon Rose, then put him out there. If it's not Leon Rose and it's William Wesley, Worldwide Wes, then put him out there and tell us why you think that this is, you need to do this. Now, the one thing I will say is that you, me, and everybody else out there that has an opinion on this has no idea what's going on internally. We have no idea. We don't know if there is a mole on the Knicks coaching staff, which is like 10 of them, or, there's something that's gone on internal with the players that William Wesley or Leon Rose has seen from where they sit and saying they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and therefore we can't get rid of them because, they have long-term contracts. We can only get rid of the coach. And then the other thing I think of is that Leon Rose was Tom Thibodeau's coach, agent, and he gave him a $30 million extension that doesn't kick into this year. So I don't feel sorry for Tom Thibodeau from a financial standpoint. He's getting a lot of money to go away. What I do feel like is that this is a hit as his reputation. And as a Knicks fan, a 57-year Knicks fan, by the way, I have seen this organization at the top of its game, and I've seen it at the bottom of its game. And the last 5 years under Tom Thibodeau gave me hope that there was structure and stability back. Now, all of a sudden, I feel like I'm in a situation where I say, I don't want to say this. Here we go again. And that all depends on who they select as the next head coach. And then I wonder about the assistant coaches. Like, is Rick Brunson getting fired? Is Mo Cheeks getting fired? Or are all they staying here and they're just putting a new head guy in there so that head guy can deal with whatever snakes he may have in the grass that he may be working with? So I don't know. This is
So you're telling me you think this is a shiv spot?
I feel like it's a shiv spot. And
wow.
I feel like I really do feel like, as a Knicks fan, I feel really disappointed. When I saw this yesterday, I felt disappointed. I feel disappointed this morning. I felt like we were headed in the right direction. I felt like we got the right guy. Every time, Tom Thibodeau would talk after a game, didn't say much, but, I felt like, all right, we got a real legitimate head coach. And you and I have talked about this. He's a guy that's looking at tape. He's a guy that's preparing. He's a guy that's showing up to work every single day. He's a guy that's trying to get the best out of a roster that's probably not perfectly configured, but at least you would think one more year together with this group, maybe they would have been better. Now this group has got to learn from another coach. I'm assuming another system, and I'm assuming that they're going to take a step back. And I hate the fact that I feel this way this morning, but my feelings this morning could be swayed depending on who they end up hiring. And hopefully that hiring is going to come relatively quickly.
Yeah, I want to explore this shiv spot thing. And if people don't know what we're talking about, a shiv in the back, it's a reference to a man-made or handmade weapon in jail, and then someone will shiv you in the back, and you think maybe the guy was on your side, but he's not on your side, and it's a shiv spot. So you're telling me that you believe that one of the assistant coaches was a snake in the grass, a mole up to Leon Rose, saying that Tom Thibodeau wasn't the man for the job.
Or William Wesley.
So you think that you really think Worldwide Wes is that involved still?
I do, yes.
Wow.
Have you ever looked at the Knicks organizational chart?
Yeah, it's 10 million guys with job titles I don't understand.
Right, exactly.
That's what it is.
So there's a lot of people that are involved. And, who knows who has the ear of Jim Dolan. I'm assuming Leon Rose does. The other thing I do know is that, a Game 7 at the Garden in round 3 of the NBA playoffs is probably worth $100 million.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that they're not playing that game or didn't play that game and they lost that game in Game 6 and played the way that they did, you know, that's a huge loss too. You got to understand that playoffs at the Garden are absolutely ATM cash machines. And they lost a lot of money by not having a Game 7 there. But, you know, at the end of the day, Tom Thibodeau did exactly what he did when he was hired to come here and do it. And, you know, he did it for 2 other franchises as well, by the way.
Yeah.
He did it for Chicago, Minnesota, and here. There is a shelf life for coaches in the NBA and in the NHL, as we all know, as all of our teams have gone through this. It's just that it's very rare that a guy is going to show this much improvement, get this far in the playoffs, and then right as the playoffs end, you end up letting him go, and really without any human being coming out and standing in front of a microphone.
Yeah, and you're
telling you why.
You're not going to get that. What you'll get is a one-on-one with Mike Breen or Bill Pito or something like that with questions that they already knew were going to be asked, like we saw a couple years ago when the Knicks got eliminated from the postseason. Leon Rose sat down with Mike Breen, and it was just like a couple of questions. That's what you're going to get, which is unfortunate, but they're not going to change that.
That's not Mike Breen's fault. That's not what his job is.
No. He was just asked to do that. I'm not knocking him, but that's what you're going to get. Yeah, so, I mean, I agree with all the Tibbs stuff. We can talk about why it's wrong, but I'm just more interested in the stuff that you're bringing to me this morning that I have not heard, that there's shivs, there's snakes in the grass, there's people that wanted Tom Thibodeau out. And if it's assistant coaches or it's Worldwide West, I mean, is that just an opinion on Tom Thibodeau because they don't think he's the guy that can get him over the top? Or is it one of those things where there's someone on the staff that thinks that they have something to gain if he's not there?
I don't know. You look at these names, you look at all these titles, you look at the coaching staff, you look how many people are involved in this. You know, getting all of this on the same goddamn page is almost impossible.
And they did it for years, it felt like.
Well, I mean, the last 3 or 4 years. But prior to that, it was shiv spots all over the place.
I know, but that's why 3 or 4 years felt like 30 years of stability because it was the Knicks.
And I also feel like the Jets have gone through that over the last 15
certainly.
years.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that Aaron Glenn is trying to clean up if you can. But, I mean, believe me, there's people all over the place on this list that could have their hands in something, could be in Leon Rose's ear. You know, they're also, let's send a message or, you know, send a shot across the bow of the players to let them know we're not messing around here, that we have expectations and they need to live up to those expectations. That's the other thing. We don't know internally if one of these assistant coaches, you know, was saying that, you know, for some reason we can't get the Karl Anthony Towns to make him understand why defense is so important.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing I was thinking about yesterday is the biggest problem with this team is the fact that they are not nearly as good as they were defensively in previous years, and their stars don't play defense. What other guy on the planet is going to teach these guys defense other than Tom Thibodeau? Tom Thibodeau failed at trying to get those guys to play defense, and he is the most defensive-minded head coach in basketball right now.
But, you know, when they played defense against Boston, they won games.
I know, but they didn't do it consistently enough.
No, they didn't, and, you know, because defense is hard. Defense, you know, you can't be lazy. You got to be all in, and you got to be going 100 miles an hour, and then the coach has got to recognize when you need a blow during the game. You know, maybe that's another thing. Maybe it's the fact that he didn't play more guys, or, you know, maybe it looked like it was a panic move when he did go to more guys in the playoffs. You never know how these things are going to be internally looked at and how people are going to react to it. All I know is that a really good, solid head coach who brought stability and toughness back to the New York Knicks was let go unceremoniously. And the reason I say that is because at least if there is a human being in front of a microphone saying, hey, look, man, we love Tom Thibodeau. We gave him a 3-year extension. We just felt like this was a real disappointing finish, and we really want to get over the hump, and we have an idea. You know, I'm not saying that they would have said all of this, but they must have somebody in their sights that they think is going to be better than he is, or you wouldn't fire him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And who that guy is going to be very interesting.
By the way, Mike Malone is probably like a carbon copy of him.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's going to be Mike Malone. So Stefan Bondi, who covers basketball in New York and does a good job with it, it said yesterday he posted yesterday that Anybody who thinks it's Mike Malone, stop. It's not Mike Malone. You can move on from that. So I don't know why. I don't know. The people in that organization, maybe these snakes in the grass are not Mike Malone people either. I'm not sure if we know maybe the full story of what happened in Denver. It doesn't sound like it's going to be him. And apparently Johnny Bryant, who is a man who was here as an assistant, would just finish the season. He was with Kenny Atkinson in Cleveland as an assistant. He's the next great one. He's the Ben Johnson of the NBA right now.
All right. So again, I have nothing against him personally. I don't know him at all.
But we don't know anything about him as a coach. It just seems crazy to get rid of Tom Thibodeau to give a guy this job who's never coached before. It's insane.
That's exactly how I feel.
If it ends up being him.
I mean, if you're going to give a guy a job and a shot for the first time, now the Jets have made a habit of doing this, but because of where the Jets have been and what the Jets have gone through, that's the team that does what it did. All right, we're going to give it to another guy. Now, you and I were not all in if they were going to, we were talking about other guys like John Gruden and people of stature, Bill Belichick, and the Jets decided to go down the road of yet another assistant coach who has had no head coaching experience. But I think that the expectations for the Jets are so minimal, then I guess I can buy into it, especially if it's an ex-player that seems to have everything in order and has paid his dues. Okay, I could see that. The Knicks are a top 4 team in the league.
Yeah, top 3 team if you want to look at it like that. You
could say that if you want. And so now you're going to bring a guy in, and maybe it is this guy, Bryant. I don't know. Maybe he had great relationships with the players, and maybe if you bring him in, then the rest of this coaching staff, and including Jalen Brunson's dad, doesn't lose his job.
Yeah, I mean, you connect the dots there.
Yeah,
it does make sense. If it ends up being Johnny Bryant and these guys sort of came together and had some sort of mutiny there on the guy who brought this franchise back. And, it's just, it really is a shame thinking about it, because there's a few guys in my life being a Knicks fan that, like, you're always going to respect, even though they didn't get the job done ultimately with a championship. But, guys you always will love. I know Pat Riley screwed us, but Pat Riley was a big part of that. Jeff Van Gundy, Patrick Ewing, John Starks, Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason. And then you fast forward. I mean, Donnie Walsh to a certain degree, because he brought credibility back to an organization that needed it at that time. But Tom Thibodeau's right there in that conversation. He, to me, with Jalen Brunson, restored a franchise that was absolutely dead, completely dead. And for him to get this team to the first Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years and then get canned like this in a statement is awful. And when you say "here we go again," I
don't want to say that.
I know, but I don't want to say it either. But that's the first thing that pops into your mind, and you think is Dolan getting involved again? Which I actually don't think so. And I'm not being naive with this. When I'm not like taking them for their word, but I kind of believe that when things are going well and Jim Dolan has someone that he trusts there, that he lets them do the job, because he did that with the Rangers for many years. So I don't think he swooped in here and decided to get rid of Tom Thibodeau on his own. I don't think so. I think that he probably agreed with it, and if he didn't agree with it, then he would have been here. But it seems to me like there was other factors going on.
Well, there has to be other factors that we don't see.
Yeah.
Because it can't just be like what we watched on the basketball court. Right. You know what I mean? It's got to be something else internally that also precipitated this and was somehow building. I mean, and the one thing I will say, watching everybody's reaction to this yesterday, everybody pointed to the most important player, Jalen Brunson, being asked about Tom Thibodeau being, the right coach for this team. And his answer was yes. Like, you're asking me this now? Are you kidding me? And then, of course, he gave an opportunity to Josh Hart. He gave an opportunity to Julius Randle. He gave opportunities to Quickly and Barrett and Mitchell Robinson. He gave opportunities to, you go down the line, Deuce McBride. It took a while for guys to earn his trust, but that's the normal way of doing things in the NBA.
Yeah. So, I mean, these big names that are out there, these Eric Spoelstra, Jay. I mean, it doesn't feel like that's going to happen.
They have somebody in mind. They have to have somebody in mind. They have to. You can't just, in a moment's notice, unless unless I, and again, I don't know if this took place or not. If they had a meeting with Tom Thibodeau and he said, "Look, man, we're not going to win with Karl Anthony Towns. I told you, I didn't want him here in the first place. You guys wanted him here. I told you we were not going to win with it." Unless he did one of those in a meeting that we don't know about yet, that would be something that, I can understand where Leon Rose and Worldwide West and everybody else would get upset with that if that ever took place. I don't know if that took place.
That's what I would have said if I were Tom Thibodeau. I mean, to me, it's on the players. It's not on Tibbs. It's on the roster construction. And it doesn't mean that they couldn't get better. I mean, that's the thing that frustrates me. I think that with an offseason where you get a little bit better with the bench, you convince Tom that he's got to play these guys. You get players like DiVincenzo, like Hartenstein to fill those roles that you didn't have filled this year, and you get this group playing together for another year. I think they could have gotten better that way. Or if they did some sort of massive thing where they got rid of Karl Anthony Towns, which is not going to happen. So what this was, I think at its core was that the front office, Leon Rose, Worldwide West, and then James Dolan at the top said, we think that these players underachieved because Tom Thibodeau was the coach. And we're not changing this roster massively because we've got the team that we think we win. And we also can't.
Yeah, right.
So the only way to try to get better is to now get another head coach, and that is a dangerous, dangerous road to go down when you're getting rid of someone as accomplished as Tom Thibodeau.
And by the way, that head coach is going to be assuming that Mitchell Robinson stays here and Miles McBride stays here, you have 7 veteran players that you are now inheriting. And I don't think it will be a guy that does not have any connection to these players. It's got to be a guy that has connection to the players.
That's Jay Wright and that's Johnny Bryant. Those are the two guys.
I mean, that would make sense to me because, this is, how veteran players in every sport, not just basketball, but in every sport, they know pretty quickly whether or not the coach is credible and whether or not they can walk all over that coach.
Well, I mean, the NBA is the easiest league to kill a coach from a player standpoint. It just always has been. If that superstar or a couple of guys on that team that are the stars don't like the guy, he's done. He's absolutely done.
This goes back to when I remember talking about Patrick Ewing and, if Pat Riley is here and he is the coach, he's going to love Pat Riley, and he is going to fight for Pat Riley. Now, Pat Riley left, so he wanted the assistant. He wanted Jeff Van Gundy, and he fought for Jeff Van Gundy because he really liked playing for him. And when you have your clear and number one guy buying into what the coach is selling, that makes it a hell of a lot easier for the coach to coach the rest of the team and hold the rest of the team accountable.
Yeah, it's something I wasn't thinking of when I walked in here, but when you talk about the snakes in the grass and the pipeline going up to the front office and guys saving their jobs, I'm thinking back to the preseason, right?
Yeah.
Dante DiVincenzo at the foul line.
Mm-hmm.
He goes over to the bench and he starts yelling at someone. Remember who he was yelling at?
Yeah, Jalen Brunson's dad.
And remember what he said to him? This is what happens when they let you make the decisions. That now coming back here this morning is making me think. Now, I don't know, but somebody, Ian Begley, Shams, somebody, Wally has to go in and infiltrate.
Oh, Wally's not doing it. I can
no,
tell you
of course
that.
not. No. But somebody, and find out what the hell's going on to make more sense of.
I mean, does that make give you a little bit better clarity or something that you didn't think about?
Yes,
prior to us having
absolutely.
a conversation?
That's what I just said. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, of course, we know Jalen is the engine of this whole thing, too. So
I think the more you think about it, the more it's probably going to be, like you said, one of those two guys. Although I don't think Jay Wright wants to coach anymore. I really don't.
A lot of money. It's a lot of money.
You already made a lot of money.
Okay. Does that matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, there are guys, how many times have we said, what are you doing this for? What are you doing that for? Tom Brady, why are you doing Fox for $350 million? Oh, that's right, because it's $350 million, even though you made a lot of money. I mean, to me, it would be more of a reputation thing. Like, if he goes there and fails, does he want to do that and have that over his head?
See, that's the other thing. You get a guy like Jay Wright, or you get a guy like Danny Hurley, or Mike Malone, for that matter. they understand that they're brought in to take them to the next level. That's the idea, is to get the team to the next level. So now, can this guy Bryant do that?
If it's him. Yeah.
Which would make a lot of sense because, he was on the staff. I don't know why he left the staff. I don't know if they gave him more money or maybe there was a schism between he and Tibbs. I don't know why he left to go to the Cavaliers.
All right, Boomer and Gio.